6:22, work session to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Colleen, will you please call roll?
Bruce. Mr. Bloom. Mrs. DeSenza.
Present.
Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Moran.
Here.
Mr. O'Neill. Mr. Ross.
Here.
Mr. Zaritsky.
Here.
Ms. Belcastro.
Here.
I'll do the executive.
Right, yes. Just as an announcement, we did have an executive session of the board right before this meeting to discuss personnel, litigation, and to also receive information. And then before we go into public comment, I just want to read from the board policy that governs public comment. The board recognizes the value to school governance of public comment on educational issues and the importance of involving members of the public in board meetings. The board also recognizes could result in requesting assistance of law enforcement officers, remove a disorderly person when his or her conduct interferes with the orderly progress of the meeting, or the board could call for a recess or adjourn to another time when lack of proper decorum interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. It's the intent of the district to work with the school community on all school-related issues. However, the board has a right to and will enforce reasonable expectations to conduct a meeting in an orderly fashion. Refusal to comply will not be tolerated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Perry.
Yes. Before we do public comment and before we do the audit presentation, I have the distinct honor of presenting Mr. Lucky Ross, Dante Ross, a certificate of appreciation from the Pennsylvania School Board Association for your 12 years of service on the board. And on behalf of the board and the staff, and especially the students of Central Valley, thank you for your dedication to our kids.
Is it a $5,000?
You're 10 times your normal salary here.
Okay. So before we do the presentation, we are going to ask for public comments on the agenda item.
Any public comment on agenda items?
Okay. Okay. And what's the gentleman's name? The auditor?
I'm sorry.
The auditor's name?
The auditor, what's your name again? Charlie. Charlie Rupert. Cipher and Cipher. Thank you. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
All right.
Good evening. I'm Charlie with Cipher. I handed out a couple of pieces of information this evening. One is our presentation that I hope will put the financial results in a user-friendly format. And secondly, our management letter. As of right now, the financial aspect of the audit is complete. We still have compliance, federal program stuff that's in progress, but I thought it was important that I get to you to discuss the financial results of the year. The pages are numbered in the bottom right-hand corner. Well, I thought they were. We're going to start with page 2. The audit that we conducted was for the period June 30th, 2022. One thing to keep we like to emphasize is the audit report is the responsibility of your administration. Our responsibility is to tell you where you were at a point in time, how you got there, and that we conducted our audit in accordance with U.S. governmental auditing standards. And the opinion you're going to receive is what we call unmodified. And as a school board, that's what you would expect to hear from your auditor. Another audit that we do is what we call the single audit. And what this is when a government receives more than $750,000 of federal funds, we're required to look at the program level of compliance of laws and regulations in accordance with those grants. The programs that we're looking at this year is the ESSER funds and the National School Lunch. Actually, it was a seamless summer option this past year, the SSO. That audit is still in progress. When you turn to page 4, fund level financial statements for the general fund, we brought in $42,059,000. We spent $40,400,000. As a result, our fund balance went up $1,650,000. At the end of the day, we had a fund balance of $4,651,000, which is comprised of a commitment for PESers of $891,000, an assignment for technology that we anticipate to be spending money on of $1 million, and an unassigned fund balance of $2.7 million. That fund balance represents right about 7% of your 22-23 operating budget. And that's kind of a good benchmark for you to be at. Next page is the capital reserve fund. What this is there was money that was part of a bond issue that happened this year that was transferred into this fund, of which was right around $905,000. Earned a little bit of interest. So at the end of the day, you had a fund balance here of $937,000. The significance of this is this money here is earmarked for brick mortar capital improvements. Next page is the construction fund. The construction fund, this past year, we issued a bond proceed in this fund for, I believe, the elementary school project. So our bond proceeds totaled right around $14.5 million. We earned some interest of $9,800, and we incurred some construction costs of $1.2 million. So as of June 30th, this fund had $13,200,000 earmarked for future construction costs. Another fund we had is what we call the debt service fund. The specifics of the debt service fund is it's used specifically whenever existing debt is refunded. So this past year, I believe it was a 2017 bond issue that we were able to get a better interest rate. So we refinanced basically those bonds, and that bond proceeds got put into an escrow fund with the bank to whenever those bonds are callable, they get refunded. In turn, what happened was we had an excess or an extra $905,000, which got transferred into the general fund and then to the capital reserve fund that I previously talked about. So at the end of the day, money went in, money went out, and that's zero at the end of the day in the debt service fund. Our general fund, you can see here, this is a graph of our revenues. We have 4 major sources: our tax dollars, other state revenue, and federal revenues. And really, our tax revenues, other revenue, as well as state revenue were very close to what we budgeted, which is a good thing we want to see. You notice the federal revenues were up significantly. We budgeted $500,000 and we recognized $1.9 million in revenue. What this is this relates to the ESSERS funds. We got ESSERS 1 and 2 and 3. So at how the federal programs work is as we spend the money, we get to recognize the income. So I wouldn't be alarmed with that variance in federal money because it was money that we were able to spend and we were able to earmark it and utilize the federal funds that was granted to the school. We move to the next page. See here, this is just a bar graph of the last 5 years. Again, demonstrating how our actual revenue came in greater than what we budgeted. And if you notice, actually in 21, in 20, actually we came in a little under budget. But then in 21 and 22, you can see our revenues were greater than what we anticipated. And again, this is primarily relating to ESSERS. So we were, in essence, the profit or the gain that we had this past year was a mechanism of turning, say, everyday costs of education. And we were able to, they were eligible expenses to meet the federal program criteria. So that's why we were able to recognize that income. When you go to, we're not going to spend enough, much time here. All these are is a bar graph of the different categories of general fund expenses. What I wanted to get to was the page of general fund expenditures budget to actual. Again, it's a blue and red graph there. Again, you're going to see here, actually the expenditure side was very consistent to where we budgeted $39,150,000 and our actual expenses were $39,500,000. Again, this is some excellent budgeting, but it goes back to those ERA funds. Right now, I believe the district has $2.3 million of ESSERS 3 that is earmarked or granted or awarded to the school. And Dr. Perry and Mr. Malley has shared with me a comprehensive plan of how that money is going to be utilized over the next 4 years to enhance the education here at Central Valley. So you still have one last pot, ESSERS 3, relating to this COVID funds. General fund balance. You can see back 2018 and 19, our fund balance was pretty tight at $200,000 fund balance. And let me tell you, this is excellent work. You know, the board, the administration, you guys have worked hard to replenish this fund balance through the 4.6 mil that you have. And right now, like I mentioned, that's right. Your sweet spot is around 8% of your operating budget for your unassigned fund balance. And right now you're at 7%. So this is the picture that you want to see. So what this is that fund balance gives you the opportunity of when you have, as tax revenues in your money comes in, it doesn't always match your expenses, just like your home household. So what your fund balance does is it gives you the resources to balance out those peaks and valleys to where you're not sitting there trying to shuffle money to pay your bills. That's what the fund balance does, is it gives you those resources. As well as the other thing is it does is whenever something unexpected comes along, a boiler goes down, something crazy, you know, you have the money there to pay for that stuff rather than going on and getting a loan. Our last page basically is a highlight of our management letter. We talked about the fund balance. At the end of the year, the general fund owes the cafeteria $37,000. And this is just basically the timing of when a subsidy came in and it needs to be paid to the cafeteria. So that money is probably transferred over during July already. Federal programs, as I previously mentioned, ESSER's 3, there's still some money there to be spent. And there's a plan developed to enhance education for that. Cafeteria. This past year, normally the cafeteria operates in a deficit. This past year, we had what we call the seamless summer option, and it was a school-wide free lunch program. The significance of that is participation, or the number of meals in the cafeteria, increased significantly. And the reason that is each child, student, was able to get a breakfast and a lunch for free. So along with that is the state gives us a subsidy for each meal that's served. So this past year, the cafeteria recognized a $286,000 gain because of that program. I would expect that to not be long-lived because I believe we're going back to the pre-pandemic National School Lunch Program for the 22-23. Is it 22-23, John?
Yeah.
So it was a one-year bang for you guys. So I would expect it to go back to the operating deficit that we've had in the past. Lastly, you should be quite pleased with what's happening in the business office and Dr. Perry. I would be, and lastly, I think the opportunity to serve and to be the auditor for Valley. And if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Ernie, I can answer for you guys.
Can we get these as PDFs, like send them to us digitally?
Excuse me?
Can we get both of these documents as PDFs, like have them sent
Certainly, yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem.
to keep everything?
Send that to me, I'll send it out.
All right.
Any other questions? Charlie, appreciate everything you do for the district.
Thank you.
Hmm.
And I'll make sure the PDF has page numbers. Thank you. Thanks for putting me
you.
on first.
All right, Charlie.
All right. Have a good
Have a safe trip home.
Good night.
Yep.
So we are going to move on. Minutes, to approve the combined work voting session minutes from September 14th, 2022. Any questions, comments? Okay. Mr. King, treasurer's report.
Following bills and reports are submitted for approval. Number one, confirm the September 2022 general fund payments in the amount of $1,393,180.99. Number two, confirm the September 2022 cafeteria fund payments in the amount of $11,045.55. Number three, confirm the September 2022 construction payments in the amount of $56,556.23. Report number one, to approve the September 2022 Berkheimer report.
Any questions on that, comments? There's nothing under board policy.
Sorry, don't mind me.
There is nothing under negotiations. Mr. O'Neill's not here. So that brings us to you, Mr. Ross, education.
Number one, to approve the 2022-23 supplemental positions. Two, to approve, confirm the release time. If you look at the chart, you'll see on the conference and the location for the conferences, individuals that will partake in those conferences, and the dates listed on the far right.
Okay, and Ms. Hicks and Mr. Velkovican they will be doing our presentation on our comprehensive plan.
Thank you. So before they get started, the district is required to do comprehensive planning, strategic planning, as they used to call it. They now call it comprehensive planning. We were due for comprehensive planning this year. This plan will run from 22 to 25. This plan was developed by a steering committee who has been meeting over the last 2 months. They're going to present that plan tonight. This plan will be up for formal approval in November and will be sent to the state. And then as long as the state accepts it and doesn't make us make any changes, this will be the guiding document for school improvement over the next 3 years. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our co-chairs of the project.
Good evening. Casey and I are here tonight to present the district's comprehensive plan. As Dr. Perry said, it typically is a 5-year plan, but this is a 3-year plan. The purpose of this plan is to get districts to analyze data, to identify challenges facing the district, and ultimately come up with an outline, come up with a plan, an action plan that will take place over the next 3 years. So Casey, if you'd like to begin.
A steering committee was assembled of school board members, administrators, teachers, parents, and community members as we went through this comprehensive plan and met to discuss some of our goals. The comprehensive planning process, we have to follow these steps to develop our comprehensive plan. So the first thing we did was review the mission, value, vision, and shared values. We analyzed our PA Future Ready Index of our PSSA and our Keystone data. We also looked at other student performance measures, such as the CDTs that we give at the high school, Todd Lane, and then also at the middle school, NWEA maps, and then also the DIBELS assessment. We analyzed the conditions for leadership, teaching, and learning. That was done in August and September through staff and parent surveys. We identified areas to address in the comprehensive plan as a result of analyzing that data, and then began committee work. And finally, we developed goal statements and action plans as a committee to address the identified areas, which we will go into more detail throughout the presentation. So one of the things we wanted to do was just review that mission and vision to see, this is what drives our district. So we bolded the important statements that we are committed to that educational excellence through our mission. And we do that in the vision by ensuring success for all students. Once again, we reviewed those shared values that the district believes in and pulled out really those important phrases that helped guide us throughout this comprehensive planning process of the collaborative partnership. It really takes a village to educate students, holding everyone accountable for educational excellence, believing that all students can learn and achieve success, making sure we're offering an exemplary education to our students, that we are creating a positive learning environment, holding our students to those high expectations, looking at our goals to make sure they are quantifiable and measurable, and then also assessing our progress towards those goals, especially over these 3 years, and then operating with integrity, honesty, and transparency throughout the process.
So once we analyzed the data, we identified the most pressing challenges to address through the comprehensive plan. And we came up with really 3 focus areas. Those focus areas are academic programming, safe and supportive schools, and also communication. We developed goals for each of these areas. We brainstormed ideas, and we developed an action plan, which we'll share with you tonight to accomplish each of these goals. The first focus area was academic programming. Our priority statement is to establish a clear framework of programming that prepares all students for success. The 3 goals that came out of the steering committee meeting were to increase instructional time in math and ELA in grades 6 through 8 by reviewing and/or revising the middle school master schedule. A second goal is to implement the new math and ELA curriculum that we have adopted and analyze data more effectively through district protocols to provide individualized enrichment and remediation opportunities for all students. And the third goal through this focus was to improve professional development that we offer to our staff. The timeline, because as we said, this is a 3-year cycle and not a 5-year cycle. This is how we plan to address this particular challenge. In terms of the master schedule, in year 1, you can see in the 4th column, which is the current year, we plan to review the current master schedule and those schedules of high achieving schools within the area. Next year, we hope to implement schedule changes with staff and communicate with all stakeholders. In the 3rd year of the plan, we will monitor the effectiveness of the new schedule through achievement and annual growth on our state assessment scores. The second goal in the focus area of academic programming was to again implement the new curriculum that we have, the new math and reading series that we have in the elementary schools, and make sure that we are analyzing data again effectively throughout the district to provide that enrichment and remediation opportunity for all students. In year one, our current year, we plan to implement the Amplify, and we are in the process of doing that. The Amplify reading series, K through 5, and the Eureka Math series, grade 3. And we are also in the process of reviewing and evaluating our data analysis practices. And we're again trying to find the best ways to offer that remediation and enrichment when and where necessary. Next year, we hope to implement the Amplify reading series K through 5, continue with the implementation, I should say, with it, and begin the Eureka Math series in grade 4. In addition, we will implement the strategies that we came up with through the brainstorming committees that happened in year one. Finally, in year 3, we will again continue with the implementation of the Amplify reading series K through 5. We will begin the implementation of the Eureka Math series in grade 5, and we will evaluate student achievement and annual growth to see if what we are doing is working. And the third and final goal in this focus area of academic programming is to improve professional development for staff. This came out of the surveys, the teacher surveys, that they felt that sometimes different areas that we were too focused on some areas of the district or some particular subjects or some particular content areas, but we needed to make it more comprehensive. So in year one, we are going to review our current professional development practices, and again, of those of high achieving schools in the area to see what the best schools are doing. And again, maybe get some ideas from those districts. In year 2, we hope to implement these changes through not only our opening week and service week, but also through the in-service days built in throughout the school calendar. And in year 3, monitor the effectiveness of professional development, most likely by another staff survey.
Our second focus area is safe and supportive schools. Safety is at the forefront of everybody's mind in this day and age. So our priority statement is implementing steps to provide a nurturing, safe, and supportive and inclusive school environment for our students. 2 sub-goals under that priority statement are to implement programs that are going to help all students feel safe, welcomed, and supported within the school environment, and then also to increase school safety throughout the district. So our first outcome category is coordinating and monitoring supports aligned with students and family needs. To do that, we are going to implement programs that will help all students feel safe, welcome, and supported within the school environment. During year 1, which is this school year, we will review our current educational programming that's in place within the district and see what supports a safe and supportive school environment. And we also plan to create a committee to identify challenges related to school culture throughout the district. Year 2, next year, we will develop and implement practices to create an environment of belonging and inclusiveness for all students, and then also implement the measures to address school culture. And then finally, during year 3, we'll monitor and collect feedback on the newly implemented practices around school climate and culture from stakeholders. Our second goal for safe and supportive schools deals with school safety and implementing programs that will help all students feel safe, welcome, and supported, increasing school safety throughout the district. We will partner with local businesses, community organizations, and other agencies to meet the needs of the district. During year 1, we will review the safety policy and procedures, identifying additional safety and security needs within our district, and then also explore the feasibility of addressing safety concerns related to school facilities. During year 2, we plan to implement additional safety and security needs as feasible within the district, and also explore the feasibility of adding an additional SRO to each building within the district. Finally, during year 3, we will monitor and collect feedback on the school safety measures from all stakeholders.
And our last focus area is communication. The priority statement here is to provide the most effective and efficient communication to meet the needs of the district. The goal is to improve district-wide and also building-level communication protocols. We're always trying to improve our communication no matter the level. For this particular focus area, we have one measurable goal statement. To again improve district-wide and building level communication. In order to do that in year 1, We plan on reviewing district level protocols. We plan on reviewing teacher communication platforms across buildings to see that they're more consistent. And hopefully we can consolidate the number of platforms we use to make things easier on not just students, but also parents in the community. We also hope to create uniform teacher website expectations, and in year 2, implement all these changes. We'd like to implement again these different district level communication protocols, but also at the building level, implement these uniform platforms across different buildings and implement uniform teacher websites across the buildings as well. And finally, in year 3, we will monitor, again, collect feedback from the community, from all stakeholders within the district to see if what we did was effective or not. The easy part of the comprehensive plan is putting together an outline, putting together the plan. The real work begins after today. So it's about executing the plan and making sure that we're meeting and doing all the things that we're saying we're going to do. But at this time, if anyone has any questions about anything we covered, we'd be happy to answer.
I have a question. And I know Tom and Dr. Perry, maybe this may be more directed because you guys were directly involved in the last comprehensive plan. Do you feel that what we put together the last time that we achieved our expectations, exceeded them?
Absolutely. I'll go back to 10 years ago when we first started comprehensive planning. Our test scores were the worst in the county at the high school level. 10 years later, we're at the top of the county at the high school level. And I truly believe that the plan that was put together was followed, was reviewed constantly, and I think it definitely had an impact. We have revised the comprehensive plan from 10 years ago. 10 years ago was about academics. Last time we did comprehensive planning, it was about mental health, which is why you see school-wide positive behavior in this district. You see those types of programs that are here. Because of that, we have school-based mental health here now. Those types of things all came out of that concern. I think the new concern that you're seeing now is related to school safety, is related still to the concept of bullying, those types of things that go on. We still have some academic issues that we need to address, obviously, with regards to the middle school, with the instructional time. Some of those things are still academically front. And as he said before, we want to continue to improve education across the district. So I absolutely believe in this process. I think my administrators will tell you I believe in this process. If you walk down to my office conference room, you'll see up on the board the information from the comprehensive plans before that still stay up there behind us to make sure that we're getting these things done. As they both pointed out, the true work now is going to be, there's action plans that fall underneath these goals, things that need to be done now. So we'll be working, collaborating with different stakeholders as we move forward to make sure that we address, and we'll be providing updates as we go through the next 3 years on where we are.
My opinion, George, it's what drives the district behaviors every day. From Dr. Perry to the teachers, through the administration. I think they're always mindful of what the comprehensive plan is and what the goals are. And I think it has improved our district by following it. And I think it's not a document that just, okay, we did it, we're done. It's like Mr. McCovacan said, it starts driving the actions every day, starting the day after we approve it.
If I could add just for an example, the beginning of our administrative meetings that we hold monthly, Dr. Perry will have that at the top of the agenda and we'll go over those items, ask us, where are we at on this? Where are we at on this? To make sure nothing's being overlooked in it. And it's something that's just again, not something on paper, but it is actually driving the district.
Thank you.
You had mentioned that the 6 through 8, if I'm not mistaken, adding more time for math.
Mhm.
Have we already made a decision? Add on?
We have not made a decision. During this first year, we're still just examining different schedules, what our schedule looks like compared to other high-performing schools, and how we can add more instructional minutes, especially math, maybe even looking at ELA as well, to help give opportunities to engage with that curriculum and in turn, maybe perform better on those tests, showing that they are retaining that information.
And the reason for that to go longer?
Because when we first started out by analyzing the PA Future Ready Index, we had to analyze our building data from each of the buildings. So high school, middle school, Todd Lane, and then also at Center Grange. And at the school, our scores were struggling in that area of math, especially.
And also there's a lot of feedback from even staff in those regards of a need for increased instructional time in those particular areas.
We did the surveys asking what challenges we have that continued to come up as a challenge.
Will that go down into lower levels because of the,
No, because their instructional time right now is already larger.
I can chime in. Sitting on the level principal family. I network with a lot of the principals from Western Pennsylvania state. And through those talks and discussions, our kids right now, they're going up against kids that are getting 80 minutes of math per day all year long, but we're getting 40 minutes of math per day all year long. So it's almost like we're comparing scores with kids that are getting double. They're getting 2 years of math compared to our 1 year of math. And, if they're scoring in the 80s, 90 percentile, and we're scoring in the 30, 40 percentiles, it's comparing apples to oranges. And, all the feedback they're giving me is you got to find a way to look at your master schedule and increase that instructional time.
Something has to give, though.
Right. So we all.
Has to give.
Right, correct.
Right.
So we want to be mindful of our program. Obviously, we're three-time school to watch based on our educational programming here. A lot of that has to do with the opportunities that we have for kids during our activity periods, and making sure we maintain common planning time. And we understand that, the arts are important and all those things are important. So that's why we've not made any decision on what we're going to do, but we need to take a look at our schedule and figure out how we can increase instructional time, yet maintain those things that are most important to us. So we'll take our time making sure we make a good.
That's why it's so important that we're taking a look and we're researching high achieving schools, because certainly they're doing that. They're keeping the programming, and at the same time, they're giving the students the instructional time that they need.
My question to Mr. Dolph was, are there districts that have a longer school day than us? And I know that's opening a whole thing with union and everything, but I mean, you only have this finite time for instruction unless you increase the day. And I don't know if other districts have longer school days than ours, or.
We found ways to be very creative at the high school that I think has helped us tremendously with regards to not only instructional time, but finding time for the staff members to collaborate. So we'll take our time through this and make sure that we think it out. And obviously we'll be presenting back to the board at some point in time, any ideas we come up with. Any other questions from the board? I would like to thank both of you. I'd like to thank all of you. But especially the two of you who have chaired this and have done a terrific job to this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that was. Moving on. Technology.
There's nothing, but I'd like to schedule a meeting with Mr. I. Miller prior to next week's meeting. That would be Mr. Zaritsky, Mrs. DeCenzo, and Ms. Belcastro. We need between 45 minutes and an hour. So whatever executive session we have, say we have a 6:30, maybe start at 5:30.
I would say it'll probably be 5 or 5:30. I'll let you know
Yeah.
with regards to what time the final time is.
Everybody's good with that?
You're saying what'll be 5 or 5:30, the executive session, or?
No, the
No,
committee meeting.
For-
us, and then we'll lead into the executive session. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
I'll follow up with an email.
Mr. King, athletics.
To approve the following winter coaching staff stipends, receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. This column is the sport, the coach's name. Second column is their position. And the third column is their stipends. Boys basketball, girls basketball, wrestling, gymnastics, swimming. Number 2, to preliminary approve varsity softball team for a spring trip to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina from March 29th, 2023, April 2nd, 2023. Number 3, to approve the following high school sponsors for intramural bowling, the 2022-2023 school year for up to 100 hours of total at $12 an hour. Roxanne Delon, and Lacey Lombardi.
Any questions? Okay. Extracurricular, Mrs. DeSenza.
Yeah, number one, preliminarily approve the high school band trip to Chicago, March the 16th of 2023 through March the 19th of 2023. And just FYI, we have a chart for our field trip. The first column is the destination, the second is the group, and the third is the date.
Questions? Buildings and grounds, Mr. Zaritsky.
All right, number one, to approve, confirm the following building usage requests in the chart listed. Number two is change orders related to the construction project, and I'm sure that Mr. Rawson will go in a little bit more explanation to understand these, but we under A, we have a motion to approve change order GC number 2 for Center Grange, which removes existing concrete foundation in order to lay the new sanitary line, and that is an additional cost of $6,858. Number 2 under that change is a motion to approve change order GC 3 for Center Grange, which is a credit, which is presented for a water line revision discussed and approved by the Water Authority and the Fire Department in the amount of $13,135 back to the district. And then turn it over to Mr. Rawson for a construction update.
Thank you. So in the last 30 days, what has happened over there? All of the footers and foundation walls have been installed to rough trade. It does not include some interior walls. Interior walls of foundation is a lot shallower. We have to cross those walls just as part of our construction process. We don't want to be crossing those shallow foundations and breaking block. So we will leave those out and we will put them in at a later. When we're done with our block, then we'll pour those interior walls. The sanitation line, which is what the change order is for, is complete, including topsoil. So we're done and we're out of it. The electrician and the plumbers are installing all of their rough plumbing and electrical in subgrade. They're probably 90% complete. We've been waiting on rebar for a week. It arrived, 90% of it arrived yesterday, the final 10% arrived today. So we now have all of our foundation rebar complete. So within a day or so, the plumbers and the electricians will go back to completion. Routing of foundation has been completed as much as possible. We were hoping for 20 yards to get poured today. We were only given one truck, but we did get a cancellation truck for tomorrow. So we will be pouring grout, and rebar goes in first, then grout goes in, then waterproofing goes in. We've got rain coming tomorrow. Praying that it doesn't hurt us too much. It's good things done. Final touch up and sign up of the retention pond is complete. There was a meeting last week where we thought we were going to have to do some stuff. Dr. Alvey has been heading up most of our inspections down in that area. Signed off. He said, and everything we need to do, we should go. No further work is necessary. The masonry, because we didn't have rebar, the masonry contractor brought scaffold on. We did do some grout on that complete back wall. And rather than just stand around twiddling our thumbs, we got some rebar from somewhere else. And we put rebar in on that back wall, grouted, we turned it up to top of window height. So that whole back wall now, if you drive by, you will see that that wall is basically complete up to top of window. So I think it's going very well over there. The rebar not showing up kind of trickle down effect this doesn't get done, so this doesn't get done, so this doesn't get done. If I'm not concerned, we'll get those days back. And that's basically where we're at.
So from a time standpoint,
We're good.
we're good.
I'm not nervous.
Things are going well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions? Okay. Personnel, Mr. Bloom.
Yeah, we'll be looking to approve the 2022-2023 substitute list pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearance. Two, approve Gladys Spencer as a cafeteria general worker at 2 3/4 hours at a rate of $12.50 an hour in accordance with the CVSD agreement effective October 3rd, 2022, pending receipt of all clearances. Approve Lindsay Lassiter as a cafeteria general worker, 3 1/4 hours at a rate of $12.50 an hour with the CVSD agreement effective October 19th, 2022, pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. Number 4, to approve the resignation of Tony Del Russo, custodian, effective September 26th, 2022. Number 5, to approve an FMLA request for a cafeteria general worker from September 19th, 2022 to October 27th, 22. Anything else, Dr. Perry?
No, I just want to remind the public that we are certainly still looking for cafeteria workers and paraprofessionals. Our cafeteria staff is solid right now, but we're always looking for substitutes. If someone's looking for work with good benefits, we have jobs.
Questions? Okay. And finance, Mr. Ambrose isn't here. So number 1 is to approve the audit report from Central Valley School District for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022, as presented by Cipher and Cipher Certified Public Accountants. Question?
Yeah, just, can we get the 5-year projection? It'll be very helpful with what we're looking at with
Sure.
the plan and, buildings and everything else, like the financial 5-year projection.
Yes, we did that with the finance committee in August, right before the audit was finished. So we'll tweak it a little bit and it should not be hard for us to pull that together.
Okay, ready? Is that it? Okay, public comments. Remember, just name.
Randy Patterson. I just wanted to know if that comprehensive plan will be posted.
Yes.
Okay, great. And the steering committee, I was just curious as to how that was determined, as far as you said, staff, community, or staff and faculty, community.
Typically, the building principals provide staff members and parent,
For their parents as well. And were the parents from all grades, or was there a specific grades?
high school parent, middle school parent, Center Grange parent, Todd Lake parent.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all.
Any other public comment? Okay.
No, okay. Mr. Pakovican, sorry, couldn't get that.
Yes, in high school, we're already, 2 weeks ago, we hit the midpoint of the first 9 weeks, so we issued those progress reports to parents through Power School. At the beginning of the school year, all students took the CDT, the diagnostic test, to see where students were at. And throughout the past few weeks, teachers have begun analyzing the data and also implementing a plan through Keystone Prep and also enrichment. So they have ways to sort of fill in those gaps that we saw at the onset of the year. At the end of September, we celebrated homecoming. Our homecoming queen was senior Mackenzie Sarver. And just today, our juniors took the PSAT test at the high school.
Golf.
Middle school's up and running, great things are happening. A lot of our clubs right now are kicking off, our inclusive youth leadership's kicking off. Our watching with our special ed population to work with them. And we'll be starting here in the very near future. Community service club's up and running, our student council's up and running. They're planning our Halloween tour and that fun activity before Thanksgiving break. Similar to the high school, we concluded our fall benchmarks. We have some content areas doing CDTs right now. We had a progress learning training this afternoon with our 8th grade staff to get our progress learning remediation program up and running. Full cylinders, always going well at the middle school.
Ms. Hicks, anything?
From an advisory standpoint, our students have the 2-hour delay conferencing. It's 2 weeks ago now, where they look at their benchmark scores, their grades, and then set goals for their first third of the school year. So they're tracking their progress towards those goals too. And we are preparing for Red Ribbon Week at the end of the month. The team celebrate life, pledge to be drunk.
Mr. Gotti.
Same things. At Todd Lane, we just finished up our benchmark assessments. So we are starting our Grade 1 services with our new groups and enrichment. Next Friday, we'll have an author that comes to visit the students. They really like that. ETA is planning a Halloween party. That is Friday, October 28th. We also are preparing for parent-teacher conferences, which is the first week in November. And also our Warrior Wednesday groups will start the first week in November.
I could add just one other thing. It's important that across the district, October is our safety month. So each week we perform different drills, whether it be a campus tour, whether it be an enhanced lockdown. So every week in all the buildings, we are preparing those drills, and Mr. Dolph put together a reunification plan for this year. That we met with our teachers during the extended teacher faculty meeting today, went over that reunification practices.
That Mrs. Park sitting over there.
No, Mrs. Park is not here this evening.
Okay.
Ms. Kasanovich couldn't be here
Here.
this evening, and
All
Mr.
right.
McCreary couldn't be here this
All
evening.
right, so that means Mr. Imiller, you're up.
Recently applied for a grant to address some aging 3D printers and engravers in our STEM labs here at the high school. We got approved for that grant in about $16,000. Replace some of that equipment. Reapply for a second round of those monies in the spring or summer to replace the rest of it.
Okay, thank
Very
you all.
nice. Good work.
Thank you all. Sorry, should I have gone to you first?
No,
Okay.
they're more important than I am. Trust me.
Dr. Hill.
Just one thing I forgot to mention, back with the construction, the Todd Lane roof work is being done. They started this week. They're working their way from the top of the 5th grade towards the library and then swinging towards 4th grade. That's all warranty work that was done. Falling under a warranty, they're replacing the roof that has failed in that area. So hoping to get that done as quickly as possible. I don't know how far they made it today across the roof. About the music room. So they're moving along. So hopefully we'll get them out of here soon. We've been moving the kids as they do go across. And so
I'm still working at 6 p.m. today.
that's because it's going to rain tomorrow.
Is that it for you?
That's all for me.
Okay, board members, Mr. Zaritsky.
Yeah, just on a side note, appreciate everybody's efforts in the comprehensive plan. I know that it's in very in-depth process and it's a living document to Mr. Moad's point. It's for the next 3 years. But based off everything, good things to come with that. Secondly, something near and dear to my heart, I want to thank the district, Sam, and the football team for their participation against Newcastle in a Gold Star football game. I think it was a really, really good thing that those players gave up their name, played for fallen heroes in that game. That program is growing. I hope that next year, Central Valley will be able to host that game here. I'd like to make sure that we look and have our community involved, make sure we know our local heroes here from Center Township and Monaca, and make sure that they're honored like they should be and their story told like it should be. If you get a chance to go to those games or even follow some of the things on Beaver County event, that it has been fantastic down through the valley, what has been done. And I'm really happy that our school was involved in that.
Hello,
Nothing.
Mr. Ross.
One, I'd like to congratulate and thank year in and year out, I think our Mr. Maley and his staff in the business office on the job you guys do and making sure our budget is right where it should be, or if not better. And I think that's very important. And congratulations again to you and also to the administration for, keeping an eye on our finances and making it work and keeping it rolling smooth like it has been. And it's great to hear what the cyber, has to say every year. This year's a little better, I think, than in the past, but again, congratulations. You guys doing a hell of a job there. Keep up the good work. And also, I had a chance to observe the veterans thing at the Newcastle. I was there, and what was really nice, you're right, Mr. Zaritsky, it was a great event. The first time I had a chance to see it in operation. And what was really nice is to see members of our staff and people that have graduated from here being involved as much as they are, which I'll be honest with you, didn't know how much they were. And Mr. Dolph is one of them, to put together a program like that and to honor our people. And it was great to see our kids participate in it also. And to, it's nice. I don't know if you're familiar with what happens. I didn't know it at the time either, but if a kid, say Johnson, is it Javen, for example, when he made a catch or something, they would use who he sponsored as the veteran that is no longer with us. They would use his name, the veteran, instead of the youngster that made the play, whether it was a tackle, whether it was a catch, whether it was a throw. So it was touching is what it was. It was really great to see and hear. And also for the committee that put together the comprehensive plan. I know there's a lot of work that goes into that. I was involved in that before. And congratulations to you with the job well done, and to your committee, you guys, as far as the co-chairs of it, good job, and hopefully we will continue to do, like I heard what Dr. Perry had to say and where we were and where we are now, not only with the academics, but with test scores. That's big. They're keeping score, so it's important for us to do well like we have been doing, and look, actually more improvement, That's it.
DeSenza. Mr. King.
I don't have anything to see.
Mr. Miller.
Just real quickly, I think sometimes we take Mr. Malley and his business office for granted, the job they do day in and day out, year in and year out. And just thank you for the work you and everyone in your office does.
Thank you. And again, Casey and Mark, thank you for all your hard work. Truly appreciate everything. And on that note, I will take a motion to adjourn. Mr. King. Second, Mr. Zaritsky. All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.